This video is not something I make lightly. I've been doing almost 18 years of research, spending most of my spare time into seeking what is the truth. And 5 years into that research, I thought I would never ever come to a conclusion about the aliens because it's so much deception. But in the last years, when I started to deep study the Bible and became a born-again Christian, I feel I have the discernment and confidence to make up my mind about it. But we'll save the scriptures for the final part of this video. Now first, I would like to say that among prophetic dreams, there's like a consensus, I would say, that people have these dreams about a fake alien invasion, and that this will be there to explain the rapture for people. They will blame the disappearance on the aliens, that the aliens took people away. And this goes along with research, for example, from Bill Cooper, like the grandfather of conspiracy theory. He was a born-again Christian also. He exposed Area 51 before anybody knew about it. He predicted the 9/11 attacks. He also said that Alex Jones is a fraud and a liar. And Alex Jones then came with the same 9/11 stuff. He's alive and well today, but Bill Cooper got shot just some weeks after. So this guy is the real deal. He had a top security clearance and revealed from what he saw in the government documents that there would be this type of fake alien invasion. In the 90s also we had Serge Monast, who wrote a book about what he called the Project Bluebeam. He was murdered, it seems, for this also. Not only fake alien invasion, he talked about also fake second coming of Christ. Werner von Braun, the man behind the alleged moon landing, said on his deathbed to his assistant that they're planning a fake alien invasion as kind of the last card of what they're working with. So there's so much deception in the alien field, but we really must understand we must be able to keep more than one ball in the air at the same time. Yes, because there will be a fake alien invasion with technology doesn't mean that there's not aliens behind the curtains, that they're not coming to infiltrate and invade us. Both could be true. So what is it we find when we look at this phenomenon? People have studied for many years now. At least since the 1960s, we have many researchers that have seen what is it that they are doing with the flying saucers. What is it that they're doing? They are abducting people. So many people have their memories wiped out, but they can retrieve them with hypnosis. And they're telling the kind of same narrative stories, and sometimes there are multiple witnesses to the same event. And they tell it during hypnosis. But also there's physical scars like scoop marks and many other type of scars. Gynecological exams say that people seems to be through pregnancies, but they have never had kids. So there's been physical evidence also. And for example, Professor of Psychiatry of Harvard, John Mack, he said these people are not lying. So him and many other researchers have done a lot of studies through the years into the abduction field. But the one I really take serious is David M. Jacobs, because he has studied this since the 60s. He has the best scientific methodology, and that is not fall for the new age type of things. He's very sober-minded. And they have kept many detailed secrets for decades of what the abductees say, so that they can control that people are not lying, because they say things that's not publicly known. And in the last maybe 15 years, they have exposed these details. So from, I think it's about 1,400 sessions of about 700 abductees at least, David M. Jacobs have studied. And now in the last maybe 15 years or so, we get more and more of these details. So what is it that they're doing with this abduction program? Abductees tell about there's going to be a post-apocalyptic world, and they're going to be these hybrids, and they are making these hybrids. Some are more alien-like, some are more human-like, and through the stages, which is approximately believed to be about the 5th generational stage, these hybrids become so human-like that they pass for humans. They look human. So David M. Jacobs called them not hybrids, he called them hybrids. So we all know the traditional image of an alien, how they look with the big black slanted eyes and the slender gray bodies. These gray aliens is not something I'm going to dwell on, because I don't think they're so interesting, because they seem like they're just like manufactured kind of worker bees. They're biological, technological kind of entities to do the work of the abductions, but they're not the ones calling the shots. They're not independent entities. So David M. Jacobs is very reluctant to say it, but he admits it, that reptilians, he called them, reptile beings, are said to be sometimes seen behind the curtains, that they are running it. The reptilians, he called them. This goes along with the research like people like David Icke, who said this for many years, and other researchers into the reptilian humanoids. So these reptilians are said by the abductees to be very frightening and kind of hateful and evil, and they're humanoid reptilian scales. And this is just AI images I made, but I would include eyes with this reptile slanted crocodile-like eye. This is what they said to have. But also, even maybe more in power, is the insectoids, who also is sometimes also seen behind the curtains. They have stronger power than the greys. These praying mantis-like aliens called insectoids, and these reptilians, they are calling the shots behind this UFO abduction field, is what we get from this research. And what they're doing, their activities, is to make hybrids, human-like hybrids. So the alien agenda is to integrate them. So all evidence seems to suggest that integration into human society is the aliens' ultimate goal. They have the abduction program, but they have a breeding program to collect human sperms, eggs, and fertilize embryos and incubate the fetuses in the humans. Hybridization program to make them look more and more human but have the alien characteristics, and the integration program to integrate them, to take control. After the change, there will only be one form of government. The insect-like aliens will be in complete control. So there's be one system, one goal after this, the change. So they're always talking about the change, and the role of the abductees after the change is to engage in general integration into human society. So the change is something that they are trained for, also the abductees. And the aliens never mention any future for man. It's the hybrids and the abductees and the aliens. So it seems like they want to wipe out humanity. Virtually every abductee had to watch scenes of destruction, tidal waves, floods, earthquakes, atomic bombs, and wars in the aftermaths. So they're showing this type of visions that they experience as real, and that is something that will come, and is this apocalyptic post-nuclear world. But they also shown religious figures like Jesus and others, and they feel that they are real, to testing this technology on them. So creating hybrids for the change is at the heart of the aliens program. This is really what it's about, what they're doing, right? I just want to note here that this porn fashion that's since the last decades, that the pornography industry probably is the enemy running it, that younger generations, they want to, particularly women, they don't want to have the pubic hairs. That's interesting because these hybrids, they don't seem to have pubic hair. They look precisely human, except they don't seem to have any pubic hairs. So if the enemy wants to assimilate and not be noted, if they manage to have a culture with this fashion, so to speak, where people don't want to have their pubic hairs, younger generations want to shave it, they can be less detected. So what about the timing? In around 1997, one of the T said that they said it will be soon, very soon. But it also seems like they have oceans of time, they're not stressed about the timeline. But it really seems to being close. Now it seems like this change is really expanded over the last years, and it seems like the full-time occupation of them, the change. So the work of PhD David M. Jacobs is very alarming. Then we have this guy, for example. We have Roger Lear. He's a surgeon who made many surgeries where they removed implants from abductees, and I just read his books, and they find stuff in there that are nanotechnology, microtechnology. Here's one of the latest articles he wrote. He died just a few days after it. It was in 2014, and they find these implants that they remove. And what is interesting from this book that they wrote, you see that there is carbon nanotubes in this. They found carbon. This is graphene, right? Carbon nanotubes of carbon atomic layers is made of single atomic layer graphene. So these carbon nanotubes that they found, they were not so known at all actually when they started to find them, but now in recent years we know more and more about them. It's from the material graphene, hexagonal atomic layer of carbon atoms. This research group, La Junta Columna, led by Dr. Ricardo Delgado Martin, they found a lot of those in people of recent years. Karen Kingston also shows this. She has the paper trail from the patents. She's an expert whistleblower from Pfizer about this. We see nanotechnology, for example, in microscopy of Anna Michaela, doctor. They found this carbon nanotechnology in people who have had an experimental inoculation campaign of the recent years. Okay, if you catch my drift. So here's, I think it's one of the latest surgeries he made 2009, and Dr. Lear, they find this single-wall carbon nanotubes, right? So this is what we call a graphene, but also found these frequencies emanating from this implant. These 4 different frequencies, and if we look at those frequencies, it's interesting. 17 megahertz it emanates. That could be used for telemetry. So this is aircraft communication can use this. This is when you track an object in real time. For example, when you have a drone, you track it, you have the geographic point, height above ground, speed, direction. So when you track someone in real time. 1.2 gigahertz, it could be used for various things like satellite and Wi-Fi, but also it's like the older 4G type of cellular network for a mobile phone. So I think it's interesting because this was in 2009 when we had the older 4G network only. So I was thinking maybe are they using our technology infrastructure? I don't know. But 110 megahertz also emanates from the implants, and this also seems to be something that you can use in aviation, communication, these type of things. So we know that the UFOs, they're coming from the air, right? But this is more interesting, 9 hertz. What is this? This is a very low frequency. This is earth and sea penetrating frequencies. So this means they have a use for, not only are coming from the air, and not only is it possible they may use satellites that are man-made, and they may be in cahoots with humans, and also maybe use the cellular networks. I don't know. But what is very interesting, they're using these frequencies that are specifically for penetrating water and earth. So they are coming from the under the water, is what many researchers say. Bill Cooper himself saw UFOs coming out of the water when he was in the military at the ship, and he was threatened with it. He wrote it in the book Behold the Pale Horse. And we know that many people talk about the aliens being in underground bases, like deep underground military bases. So this has been rumored for many years. There's, for example, whistleblower Phil Schneider, who got shot, killed, it seems, for this, revealing these things. And other researchers say they are based underground. So that's why they use these frequencies we see emanating. So not only are they approaching us from the air when they do the abductions, they're not stationed in space, that's not where they come from, they are already here under the ground. So my assertations is this: they are reptilians, they are insectoids, they make human-alien hybrids, they want to have a post-apocalypse integration, they dwell underground, and they make a fake second coming of Jesus. That's what I want to make. So let's just look at this from the Bible. The snake in Genesis talking to Eve is a smart animal that can talk to a human. Snakes are not smart, they cannot talk to humans. But these creatures described by the abductees, they are very clever. Now the serpent was more subtle than any other beast of the field which the Lord had made. So these are more clever than other animals, and they can communicate telepathically according to abductees. They're very, very clever. So that is a match for Genesis. Jesus also said, Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. He's not talking about serpents or snakes. He's talking about something very clever and dangerous. Sounds like the reptilians. These serpents are mentioned 36 times in the Bible, often in association with something evil. Revelation says the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan. So the serpent and the devil and Satan and the dragon, they are all the same. So the serpent is the dragon. So we are not talking about snakes on the ground. We are talking about some reptilian creature that is powerful and evil. The serpent is the dragon, according to Revelation. And also we see many times in the Bible talking about dragons. There are like many verses here that you see. So we know that these beings are written about in the Bible. So reptilians, I say, is in the Bible. So let's look at these insectoids. Jesus says he gives us powers to tread on serpents and scorpions, right? So what does that mean? If we know that he's not talking about some small snakes when he talks about serpents, rather these reptilians, then I don't think he's talking about some small scorpions. What are the scorpions then? And the word has three different roots. One is a beetle and crustacean type of animal. Another one is a longhorn beetle. And the third one is a kind of locust. That's the original Greek from the Bible, what the etymology is composed of. A longhorn beetle, right? So the praying mantis, they have long horns. They're said to be praying mantis aliens. If we check this article from Gaia magazine, their bodies are composed of a segmented exoskeleton. Exoskeleton, that's what crustaceans have. So it mentioned the beetle and crustacean. So there's a match here. They're coated in oily substance. Which insect is coated in oily substance? It is the beetles. They're coated in oily substances. That's the one insect. They say that they have dark brown but also green and black. So with locusts are green or brown or black. So what is interesting that these words here that scorpion means that Jesus said it's a beetle crustacean, it comes from longhorn beetle, it comes from a kind of a locust, and if we piece them together we see that they are oily, have an exoskeleton, brown, green or black, and two horns. That's what we get, right, from the scorpion word that Jesus says in this verse. So if we look at this article from the Gaia magazine, it says these praying mantis aliens are oily, exoskeleton, and they're brown, green and black. And praying mantis, they have two long horns. So when you look at Luke 10:19 and talk about serpents and scorpions, I interpret it as the praying mantis aliens and the reptilians. I may be wrong, but I want to tell you confirmation just to share this and you can make it up in your own mind. I heard 7 times trumpet in the sky, loud with my ears, coming straight up from the sky, and the circumstances was very particular that I would note and never forget. It was exactly 10:19, very specific circumstances. And this time it was also the April 8th solar eclipse day, and I only knew 2 verses, and one was 10:19, Luke. And the reason I knew it was because serpents was reptilians and scorpions was praying mantis aliens, according to how I read it. So it was my confirmation. So I believe that there are insectoids could be found in the Bible. So what about the alien-human hybrids from a biblical standpoint? The abductees say that they're using women to give birth to their creatures because their hybrids cannot give birth. So this is very similar to Eve of the Garden of Eden, because it was her that the serpent used to create these beings. The serpent see that there's hybrids between the serpent and Eve is not something new. It has been claimed by people at least since the 1st century. And it says in Genesis that they came into the daughters of men and they bear children to them. So these beings called giants in English, actually the word is Nephilim. So this meaning something to fall, the fallen ones, fallen angels, something like this, right? And these beings, other beings than us, called Nephilim, are mentioned many times in the Bible. So there are these other beings, Nephilim, have made hybrids, it's crystal clear. And Jesus also talks about men and snakes, vipers, hybrids. He says, "O generation of vipers, how can you be evil, speak good things?" For example, in Matthew 12:24. He says, Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? In Matthew 23:33. O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Matthew 3:7. So there's definitely human alien hybrids from these reptilians that I see in the Bible. So what about this post-apocalypse integration? We see that Jesus says, but as in the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So the last time, the end days should be like in the Son of Noah, and in the days of Noah, there were these Nephilim on earth, right? These hybrid. And these beings were evil, and that's why God destroyed the earth in a great flood. And just look at the qualities of these beings today. They don't understand the following concepts: free will, families, religion, consensual sex. They don't understand music, dancing. They have no art forms at all. Their children don't know how to play. They have to be taught. They have no creativity. They're only about secret and lies. It's the only thing they have. So they have really no soul at all, and they're completely cut off from God. So they are, that's what they are. So I think around the end times, we can see that there's these beings come here. So that they are associated, these enemies, with underground, Gehenna, Hades, the bottomless pit, Sheol. I think it's very common that we see them, that the enemy is associated with the underground, right? And I said that they are dwelling underground. So what about the fake second coming of Jesus? They're testing this kind of technology or imagery of religious figures like Jesus on the abductees, and it seems that this is going to come like a savior thing after the catastrophe. And it also goes along with the Jewish Messiah they expect and the Al-Mahdi that the Islam people expect. They expect some type of second coming. But Jesus talks about this, of course. He says that then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. So this should be fake. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and great signs and wonders. Wherefore if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. It will be fake, right? According to the words of Jesus. So fake second coming of Jesus is something we hear from Jesus. So when we sum it up, these sci-fi like stories of the praying mantis, aliens and reptilians abducting people, making hybrids, I think it's real actually. But make up your mind about it. I've started this a lot. Don't believe anything because I say it. Always take to the God and ask for discernment about it, to the Holy Spirit. But don't just dismiss it out of hand. Pay some respect also to researchers like David and Jacobs, who spent many decades since the 60s. You can download these books on these links for free PDFs. You can read it yourself, make up your own mind. But I just want to encourage you that if this is real, this is so frightening. They are so technologically superior. It's so nefarious. And these beings are so evil, and we just want to destroy mankind, that we can use this as seeing that it's really, we have to make it in a rapture, and we must cling to the Lord. We are helpless without the Lord, but with Him we have everything we want, everything we need. So God bless you all, and thank you for watching. And I didn't intend to scare anyone. I just wanted to edify you. Make up your own mind about it. I just wanted to boost you into really cling to God. Okay, goodbye.